Welcome to HCS Connects. I'm Kelly Gorel with Hampton City Schools. Today we have Brittany Branch with us, who is our CFO for Hampton City Schools. So welcome to HCS Connects.
Thank you for having me.
Well, and you know why you are here?
Yes.
Because it is that time of the year again when we start looking at what is the budget for the next year. So again, what is the budget for the next year? So it's March. It's the time frame of budget development. Obviously, that started way back, internally. Yes. But it's time to present this to the school board and to the public. So tell us a little bit about what makes up a school budget.
So a school board's budget is made up of different funds. It can range from a few funds, that's 2 or 3, or like here in Hampton City Schools, we have 7 different funds.
7 different funds.
Yes. And our main fund is our Fund 50 school operating budget. And that's the fund you typically hear the most about.
So that Fund 50, how do we receive those funds? Because I do have people that have asked me before, like, are we a taxing authority? And we're not a taxing authority as a school division. Correct. So where do we get those funds from?
So yes, we are not a taxing authority. We receive our funds majority from the state government, so the Virginia Department of Education. We also do receive funds through the city of Hampton as well. Those are our 2 largest funding sources.
And there is some federal as well as grants, but
yes.
Our 2 largest would be the state and our locality.
Yes, we do receive grant funds. Title I is probably the most famous grant that you hear about, and that is actually recorded in our Fund 60 reimbursable projects.
Okay, so again, kind of like Budget 101 for Dummies, because that's what I need when you're talking about Fund 60, Fund 50, reimbursable, but really, we really need to talk about that Fund 50, because that's our largest.
Yes.
It comes from state and local. So our Fund 50, what do you think is the projected Fund 50 for next year? When I say next year, we always say fiscal year 23, but it's really for the 2022-2023 school year, correct?
Yes.
So where are we sitting in regards to our Fund 50 for next year?
So right now, based on the former governor, Governor Northam's introduced budget for next fiscal year, the school year as well, we are looking at a compensation increase for teachers and staff of 5%, and that is in alignment with the former governor's proposal.
Well, his proposal, though, and I'm going to get down into the weeds a little bit with this, his proposal is what they call SOQ positions, standards of quality. So explain what are SOQs, because I know that we employ well above and beyond the SOQ.
Yes. So SOQ, or standards of quality, that is the minimum education standards in the Commonwealth of Virginia. And as part of the state's budget, they've determined that there's certain positions that are that minimum standard for SOQ purposes. And actually within Hampton City Schools, approximately 45% of our positions are SOQ, or standards of quality. So that's well over 50% that are not included in that formula.
Which, and that's pretty much typical for every school division.
It is.
Because we know that our students have many needs, different ways of learning, different resources, different tiers for those that might be struggling, but those that also might be more enrichment. We've got to offer lots of opportunities for our students. And it's not just even the opportunities, you're talking safety and security, those type of items. So most school divisions obviously hire well above what the state said is the minimum.
Yes.
So for Hampton, you're saying about 50 to 55% of our staff are not SOQ funded positions. Right. So when we're looking at compensation and raises, that comes straight from, our funds being that Fund 50.
Yes.
Okay. So how much does it cost then to give like a 1% raise for all staff?
So it currently costs $1.6 million. For many years, that number was $1.4 million, but as we continue to have compensation increases, of course, it's going to cost more to do additional increases each year. So about $1.6 million.
$1.6 million for just 1% for all of our staff.
Yes.
And we usually have a little over 3,000 members to our staff when you're talking teachers, administrators, support staff, bus drivers, clerical,
everybody.
It's over 3,000. So you said a 5% raise. How much does a 5% raise cost then for all staff?
About $8 million.
Whew, okay.
$8 million.
That's more money than I'll ever see. So $8 million for all staff. And so you said that's definitely a budget highlight.
Yes.
And that's what we are proposing, the superintendent's proposing to the school board. So the school board, I know that you get a lot of feedback from them in regards to what are their focus or their priorities for a budget. Obviously, it's salaries and
Yes.
compensations.
Yes.
That's good that you said, that the 5%. But what are some of the other school board priorities in regards to the budget?
Yes, as part of our process for developing the budget, we survey the school board members to learn, as you said, what are their priorities for the next fiscal year, school year. And other priorities, along with the competitive compensation, the Academies of Hampton is a priority.
Absolutely.
Also maintaining, security measures within our school buildings, looking at capital projects and making those improvements in our buildings as well. And also teacher and staff retention, because that's important.
It's very important, especially when you look at, there was a national teacher crisis before the pandemic.
Yep.
And teaching during a pandemic we can't even explain it.
Yep.
It's been very difficult. So obviously the 5% is a great thing for teacher retention, but what other highlights are in the budget that could help out with the teacher retention?
So along with the 5% compensation increase, we're also proposing to add $2.1 million to the teacher scale as well.
So when you say the teacher scale, okay, and this is, teachers know the teacher scale. If I'm a first year teacher, I'm at 0 and I'm going to 1 the next year. If I'm on year 10, I'm on that scale of 10, I'm going to 11.
Yes.
So you're going to use that 2.1 million to look at the different years, which is the scale, and kind of adjust those in addition to the 5%.
Yes, that is
So that
correct.
means the teacher compensation increase will be larger than 5% for all teachers, and it'll just depend on where they are on the scale
Yes.
to what that percentage looks like.
Yep, that's correct.
Okay. See, I Dummies 101.
You're
I'm getting
doing
this.
good.
I'm getting this. You're teaching me well, Miss Branch. So then another question that we hear from people, what about my health insurance? Health insurance is so expensive. You're telling me I'm getting a 5% raise or I'm getting over a 5% raise because I'm a teacher, but then I have to shell out more for my health insurance each month. So it's not an unencumbered raise. Will these be unencumbered raises this year?
I'm happy to say that it will be an unencumbered raise.
Well, you can do a little dance if you're happy.
So yes, employees will not see an increase to their health care premiums.
Excellent. So the raise is truly a raise.
It is.
It is not, there's no implications as far as health care.
Correct.
Well, this is getting better and better.
Yeah.
So what are some of the other highlights to next year's budget?
So we also looked at proposing Pacific support salary positions, changes there as well, because we not only look at our teachers, but we also look at our support staff. So we proposed some changes there. And then also minimum wage, that's been a topic that's in the news.
Yes.
So we are proposing to increase the minimum wage in Hampton City Schools to $12 July 1 of 2022.
So you say $12. What is the minimum wage for the state?
So currently it's $11.
Okay.
And it is proposed to go up from the state standpoint January 1 of 2023.
So we're actually going to implement that
Sooner.
come July 1, which is where our school year starts fiscally.
Yes.
Okay. Now, what's the next steps with all of this, though? I mean, that's all great news.
Yeah.
We're not eliminating anything, right? We're not eliminating programs.
No elimination of programs. No.
Are we adding positions next year?
We are looking to add positions.
What type of positions?
So looking for adding teacher positions, teacher specialists, also school security officer, just as some examples.
Oh, excellent. So there are definitely more. We'll have stuff on our website that individuals or the public can go to look at to
Yes.
see more specifically. So what are the next steps then for the budget process?
So the next steps are public hearings. So public hearings are required by state code, and we are actually going to have 2 of those in the monthly March meetings. And then school board is scheduled to vote on the budget at the end of March as well.
So right now it's the superintendent's proposed.
Yes.
You present that to the board. The next 2 meetings are public hearings. And when we say public hearings, anyone from the public can come out
That is correct.
to a school board meeing. They sign up when they arrive. They can speak to the budget, what they're either happy about or what they'd like to see in it. It's that opportunity for the public to speak, which includes our own staff. And then from there, then the school board would vote on that, and it becomes the school board proposed budget.
Yes.
Where does it go from there?
So from there, it goes to the city manager's office because we are a component unit of the city of Hampton. So they have to include our budget as part of their proposal to city council. And then city council will then be scheduled to vote in May over the overall city of Hampton, which includes the school board's budget as well.
So come May,
Yes.
which is not too far off,
No, it's not.
then we would hopefully have an approved budget by the city,
Yes.
which becomes our budget. And then we would know exactly where compensation stands, where positions, if we are funding new positions. It won't affect healthcare. We already know that healthcare is
Yes.
not going to be something that employees have to take on themselves. But just all the components have to be voted on by the city in May in order for us to move forward come July 1.
Yes.
So is there anything else that I'm missing? I feel like hopefully we've covered the hot top. I mean, the budget book, when you present the budget book, it's like so many inches thick. So it's very complicated. It's
A lovely novel.
It's a lovely novel. Yeah, some Saturday night reading.
Yeah.
But it literally is like this thick. It's front and back.
Yes.
It's very detailed. There's a lot of information to it. But just the highlights that we've talked about today, in regards to how we're funded, where does that money come from, what does that look like for next year in regards to staff? What does it look for in regards to students?
Yeah.
Because we're not cutting programs.
Yeah.
We're still investing in the academies of Hampton. We're still investing in capital, which is like fixing up our school buildings.
Yes.
We've been doing a lot of work
Renovations.
on our school buildings in the last 4 to 5 years. Is there anything else that I'm missing that we think we need to let the viewers know about?
I probably should add, this recommendation proposal to the school board is based on the former governor's budget, and the General Assembly, they're still working through what the final state budget will be. So, we do have to wait for that, and if need be, we do have to make adjustments, just based on what finally is approved at the state level.
And I've been in education for quite a while, couple decades. So I can remember a time when it was almost July 1st and we still were waiting on the final approval for the General Assembly at that state level to give that, to say, hey, this is what we're starting off with July 1st for what the compensation is for staff. So we don't anticipate it taking that long, but it is a process.
It is a process, yes.
It is
that we closely monitor.
And really, you closely monitor it, but the whole budget process, it doesn't happen overnight.
No.
And you all have been working on this since pretty much this past summer.
Yeah.
It's like you start this current school year and you're already planning for the next school year for lots of things, but definitely with the budget.
Yes. Having a systems approach, that is one of the mottos, within Hampton City Schools. So we make sure we start that approach very early on to see if we need to make any tweaks or improvements, in any piece of that development process. So we like to start early.
Well, even though you started early, we're glad that you're here with us today and kind of educating us on the budget and what it's going to look like for this coming year. So thank you so much for being here. Exciting news coming out of the budget world, and more to come.
Yes, thank you so much for having me.
And thank you for joining us on HCS Connects. And remember, it's easy to stay connected.